If you had told me a couple years ago, when I started reading these books, that I would be an unironic shipper of Tamlin and Jurian, I would not have believed you. If you told me that there would be only one work in the Jurian Tamlin AO3 tag, and that fanfic is mine, I would not have believed you. But here we are. And I feel like, as the sole shipper of Tamlin and Jurian, like, it's just me, I feel like I should be able to explain why this speaks to me so much. So I think part of the reason why I ship these two together so much, that I wrote the only Jurian Tamlin fanfic, is that I think they both see themselves as the stronger of the two, and they see the other as kind of like younger and more fragile. Tamlin, for his part, is like over 500 years old. He's a High Lord. He is like incredibly powerful. And compared to Jurian as a human, like, it doesn't seem like Jurian can like stand up to that. But I think that one thing everybody forgets about Jurian is that Jurian was the commander of the human armies. Jurian might have been the military superior of Tamlin and Rhysand and all of those guys, because they were like teenagers, barely teenagers, when they were fighting in this war. So even though Jurian is like a human and he hasn't lived very long, he's spent a lot of time as an eye in set in a ring on Amarantha's finger. But at the same time, Jurian must be looking at Tamlin and Rhysand and Cassian and Asriel and all those guys, and he's just looking at them like, you fucking immature little babies. And he would know, because he essentially he might have seen them grow up. So there would always be this kind of push and pull between Tamlin and Jurian, where they both see themselves as like the more capable and the more strong one, and then the other one is just kind of like, I must protect you, when the other one's like, shut the fuck up, I fucking got this. I think another thing that is worth considering in the Tamlin Jurian thing is that both of them have history doing awful things to like the women in their lives, and I think Tamlin and Jurian together, they would work together to kind of redeem each other in that way. Like, Tamlin sees himself as like unworthy of literally anything, or like unworthy of love now, because of all the things that happened with Feyre and the things that he personally inflicted upon Feyre, and with Rhysand's help, but still he still feels bad about this, like everything that happened with Feyre. And Rhysand literally told him, like, to go fuck off and die. And I'm sure he actually does want to kind of fuck off and die. Like, in Akasif, he's a shell of the man he was in book 1. And he probably thinks that no one could love him and no one could meet him where he's at. If anyone could, it's Jurian, because Jurian essentially seduced Amarantha's sister specifically so he could kill her, and he was not very nice about it, which is why Amarantha stuck him in the eyeball ring in the first place. Like, there's something ruthless about Jurian, and I think that ruthlessness would work both to knock Tamlin on his ass and to tell him about himself, but also to protect Tamlin from people who are condemning him for lashing out as a result of his trauma. I also think that there's something to be said about ACOTAR 1 being all about Tamlin being like falling in love with a human, and he fell in love with Feyre because, for one, he needed to fall in love with Feyre in order to advance the plot. But I think if he was a little bit more honest with himself, and I think if he and Feyre are more honest with each other, they're not really each other's type. Like, I still maintain Feyre fumbled Lucian. But I think Tamlin needs a different kind of partner than Feyre would have been. And Feyre was actually quite content to be like Tamlin's little, like, darling little wife. It was her time with Rhysand that changed her mind, and then she ended up being Rhysand's darling little wife, but that's another conversation for another day. I think Tamlin would want an equal partner in the way that Feyre and Rhysand are equal partners, like supposed to be equal partners. And I think no one would tell him about himself. No one would be more likely to disagree with him and to give him good ideas and to give him the pushback that he needs than fucking Jurian. This ship speaks to me, and I know it's not going to happen, but it doesn't stop me from wanting it. And honestly, I kind of want to write like flashbacks of them. Like, I don't know what I don't know why. Like, as soon as I got like as soon as I got like the idea for this, for the fanfic, I have never wanted a crack ship more. I fucking love Tamlin and Jurian. Turian. The Turian or JAMLIN. It's the JAMLINs. Like I am a JAMLIN. I will be the chairperson of the JAMLIN army.